service Sunday mornings, at least through the end of the month, and we'll evaluate, see where things are at as far as on the state level, and abiding by the instructions that have been laid forth to us. And that doesn't mean we can't gather together in spirit. And we have Wednesday night Bible study online, so feel free to join in on that. And right now we're finishing up 2 Timothy, and then I'm probably going to look at doing a study on Revelation. And I know there's a lot of questions. We discussed it last week, but this morning, let's get ready. Let's just go to Lord in prayer and worship this morning. So if you guys want to rise this morning, I'll let the worship team come up and we'll get ready to worship this morning. Lord, Heavenly Father, we give you thanks and praise in this place this morning. Lord, that we can come in and we can gather in your house together. And Lord, you laid a message today that it's been working on me for several days. And Lord, I give thanks and praise for it. But Lord, I pray right now, I pray for anointing on the worship team. I pray for anointing to just come forth. And I pray for the Holy Spirit to just fall in this place. I pray that you would just come in and you minister to us. You just open our hearts and minds to what you have in store for us today. And Lord, that we would bring our very best and worship you this morning. Lord, for you're the reason why we are here. And we're here to honor you and here to just glorify you and raise you up. And Lord, we were created for the purpose of worshiping you. So Lord, I give thanks and praise that we can come in and do that today together. And Lord, I just ask as we go into the service today, Lord, just let your Holy Spirit just come in here like a mighty rushing wind. As it is outside, Lord, let it blow in the house today. Let it blow in here. Just move us and just in a mighty way today. And Lord, we give you thanks and praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
I'm gonna say lost your hold on me.
Lord, there is nothing better than your presence. We thank you, Lord, that you abide in the praises of your people. And that, Lord, when we show up, we praise you, Lord, you're with us, Father God. Regardless of our situation, Lord Jesus, you are with us, Father. We praise you, Lord. We have so many situations. Let us never forget that you love us.
It's a new day. It's time to sing your song again. Forever may pass and forever lies before me. Let me sing when the evening comes. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul. I worship Your holy name. You're rich in love and you're slow to anger. Your name is great and your heart is kind. For all your goodness I will keep on singing. 10,000 reasons for my heart to find. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul. I worship Your holy name. Dawn and day when my strength is failing, He interrupts here when my time has come. Still my soul will sing Your praise unending. 10,000 years and forevermore. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy
Yes, Lord, we give you thanks and praise this morning. Lord, have your way within us, Lord. Lord, we would give you all our heart today, Lord. Lord, we give you all our soul today. Lord, just that we would follow your will. We lay our will at your feet. Your will to become ours. Lord, we give you thanks and praise as we move from a time of worship into a time of work this morning. Lord, would you just continue to just move with your Holy Spirit presence, fall and rest in this place this morning. Give thanks and praise for that in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, with this we were normally take you around and hug on your neighbor or shake your hand, but smile away, smile away. Let everybody know you're here, right? Thank you for that. Just happy to be in the house of the Lord. you got glasses, you understand there's this film that forms on your glasses. But this morning, let's go to Lord in prayer before we get into the message, because I feel that we need to be just really in tune with the Spirit this morning. Lord Heavenly Father, we give you thanks and praise this morning. I do give thanks and praise that we can come in and we gather in your house this morning. And to see the congregation growing from last week to this week, and people coming, more people coming in. And Lord, we know that we have to practice spatial distancing, but Lord, that doesn't mean we have to practice social distancing. I think that's what the world's trying to tell us is you need to practice social distancing. We still need to be social with one another, but we need to give each other some space, and in that regard, just out of respect. But Lord, we come in today, and I give thanks and praise that we're seeing the chairs fill up, and that we have a space big enough we can bring in more people. And Lord, I give thanks and praise for your Holy Spirit that each and every one of them that are gathered here today, and those that are at home, Lord, that you just move this morning. Lord, I already feel your Spirit in the worship this morning, so I know that it's here. And Lord, I just pray that you open our hearts and minds to what you have in store, and Lord, that we have a spirit of readiness today. Because that's what you just laid on my heart, that word ready. And so, Lord, I just pray that we would just be open to what you have in store for us today and just move in a mighty way in Jesus' name. Amen. Like I said, I don't know where to start today. I will tell you, it's been one of those weeks that has been very unusual. Jennifer will attest to this. Wednesday night, for those who were on who watched the video of our Wednesday night Bible study, it was on 2 Timothy 4, and it talked about being prepared in season and out of season, and the nature of false teachers coming and false messages coming. And I would ask for a show of hands who watched, but I'm not going to do that. But it was a message of preparedness and readiness. And it stirred on my heart, and went to bed that night. And Jennifer will tell you it was a very unusual night. Neither one of us got much sleep, because about 1 o'clock in the morning, and the boys don't know this yet, so they're going to find out today. But 1 o'clock in the morning, she woke me up from my sleep, or I woke myself up from my sleep, or woke us both up from my sleep. And what was going on was I was casting out demons in my sleep. I was having a dream that was so real that I was loudly rebuking demons in my sleep, casting them out. And Jennifer woke me up from my sleep, and neither one of us slept after that 1 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it was so insanely real. You woke me up too. Zach said I woke him up too. So it was loud enough to carry down the hallway into his room that I was in spiritual battle that evening, even in my sleep. And I went through Thursday, and obviously dragging tired and stuff, and thought, well, I'm gonna sleep good tonight. And God started laying stuff on my heart. Some of you may have seen the post I posted on Facebook about what if Jesus returned today, how many Christians or people would be left behind? Christians would be left behind. And then I added the epithet of, and how many would not understand why. How many people would be left behind? And some of you read the books Left Behind, the series, and how there's a portion that a remnant that are left behind, and they don't understand why, and it just started resonating in my spirit. And I couldn't sleep Thursday night. I didn't sleep at all Thursday night. And I got up that morning, and I prayed. I was up in prayer all night, up reading. And somebody had shared on social media, a friend of mine, an excerpt from Francis Chan from a message about why are Christians going to hell. And I thought, well, that's timely. So I watched this video, and I'm like, that's exactly what I was up all night long dealing with. Come up to the church Friday, and it was just weighing on my mind, praying the whole way up here, praying the whole way home. God laid Scripture on my mind, and He laid a portion of Scripture on my mind. And if you got your Bible handy this morning, if you turn to the book of Matthew 25. And we're going to start in verse 1. And this is a parable about the 10 virgins. And Matthew 25, beginning in verse 1, it says, "At that time the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. As I was reflecting on this portion of Scripture, I was thinking about how a few weeks ago we would have been allowed to have had a church of 10 people. You could have gatherings of up to 10 people, right? So if we had a gathering a couple weeks ago of 10 people in the church, this is what this would have looked like. There would have been 5 who were foolish and 5 who were wise. That's what it's saying. There were 10 virgins, they were preparing, and it says at the time the kingdom of heaven will be like this. And what were they doing? Well, they were preparing for the bridegroom. They were preparing for the bridegroom. These 10 virgins were preparing for the wedding. They were preparing for the bridegroom. And it goes on in verse 3, and it says, "The foolish ones took their lamps, but did not take any oil with them. And the wise, however, took oil in jars along with their lamps." So there were 5 who were prepared, and there were 5 who were unprepared. And this morning, I got up. Jennifer didn't know this until we were driving up here, and she said something about when you get something out of the trunk after church. I said, okay, well, I said, I need to get something out of the trunk before church. And she's like, what's that? I said, well, something for the message. And now I remember where I put it. So I went out to the garage this morning, and I grabbed something. Grabbed my lamp. Now, this thing's ugly and old, and it's beat up and abused. It's been hanging in the garage for years. She said, "You're going to wipe that off, aren't you?" I did, and that's still how it looks. Pretty bad, right? But I grabbed the lamp, and I thought, okay, here's these 10 virgins, and they have their lamps, and they're preparing for the bridegroom. And we know that the bridegroom here they're referring to is Jesus. That's the bridegroom. And so they have their lamps, but there's 5 who were foolish, because if you notice, I don't have any oil with me. So apparently I came unprepared. Because I don't have my lamp, I don't have my oil in my lamp, right? So this is what the 5 foolish ones look like. They're carrying around a lamp that's not going to do anything. They have a lamp, but there's nothing to light, so they can't, it's just something to look at. But then there were 5. I had to go find oil somewhere. There were 5 who had oil. There were 5 who were prepared. There were 5 who had their oil and they had their lamp and they were prepared for the bridegroom. They were ready. They were prepared for what was to come. Half were, half weren't. Pretty good estimate of what we got in the congregation this morning. About half on one side, about half on the other side. But there was some that were prepared and some that weren't prepared. They had their lamps, they didn't have any oil. Verse 5. It says, "The bridegroom was a long time in coming, and they all became drowsy and fell asleep." Started stirring in my spirit on this scripture. The bridegroom was a long time coming. We know that Jesus is a long time coming. Society, civilization's been waiting over 2,000 years for the return of Jesus Christ. That's a long time coming. And during this time, there's a heaviness, a sleepiness. We become weary somewhat. I'm not going to say everybody is, by this 50%. But are there some who have fallen asleep in their faith? That's the question today. Are there some who have fallen asleep in their faith? But I'm asking another question that goes along with this. Or were they ever really fully prepared to begin with? Were they ever fully prepared to begin with? Because you can fall asleep in your faith, or you can be ill-prepared to begin with. And I think, honestly, and this was what hit me hard, was with this earlier this week, is there is a huge amount of the church who are ill-prepared to begin with. Not because they fell asleep in their faith, but they're just not prepared. They aren't. There's no preparation. And this was, when I watched that Francis Chan video, it really hit home, because it was one of those things where we go and we make a profession of faith, but then that's where it stops sometimes. And there's no preparation beyond that point. And I started asking myself, and I had to look at myself and examine myself and think, well, how do I line up with this? Because am I presenting what I'm supposed to present? Because see, it, verse 6, it says, at midnight the cry rang out, here's the bridegroom, come to meet you. If Jesus Christ came back today, how many would be left behind? And how many would be prepared? And how many would be left behind and have no understanding why? How many would be left behind and have no understanding why they were left? See, when that time arrived for the bridegroom, all 10 had fallen asleep. If you look at it, verse 5 said, they all became drowsy and fell asleep. So even those who were prepared had gotten tired and fallen asleep in preparation for the bridegroom. The difference was that some were comfortable because they were prepared, and some were comfortable because they thought they were prepared. Let that sink in for a minute. All 10 fell asleep, but 5 of them fell asleep because they knew that they were prepared when the bridegroom came. While the other 5 thought they were prepared when the bridegroom would come. And so when the announcement came and the proclamation came that Jesus, or the bridegroom in this case, we know that the bridegroom, like I said, is representative of Jesus. When he came, or when he comes, 5 half were prepared, half weren't. And it says then in verse 7, it says, then all the virgins woke up and trimmed their lamps. The foolish ones said to the wise, give us some of your oil. Our lamps are going out. No, they replied, there may not be enough for both of us and you. Instead, go to those who sell oil and buy some for yourselves. So you've got 5 of them taking their lamps, and their lamps are going out because they thought they were prepared, and now they've got to go search for oil because they've not been preparing for this. While the others are going, well, I've got enough for me. Sorry, I don't have enough for both of us. Can I tell you, that's how our spiritual lives look? I may have enough for myself, but I may not have enough for somebody else. I can prepare myself spiritually in the Word and in time of prayer and in time with Jesus on a daily basis, and that's great for me, but it does nothing for somebody else. Because if you're not preparing your own lamp, and you're not getting enough oil in your lamp to press forward and to meet the bridegroom, then my oil is not going to do you any good. You have to prepare yourself. This message really it struck a chord with me on a few levels, because what I got to realizing was that we're going through a period with the church. There are people, we can congregate today, we're congregating, but there are, you go a few miles, 30 miles to the west of us, to the state of Illinois, and they're telling them they may not congregate until there's a vaccine available. They're telling them they may not be able to gather in churches until certain conditions are all met. And for a time, until a couple weeks ago, church doors in many states, in all states, were pretty well closed. And God started stirring into me that it's not about the building. It has nothing to do with the building. Not a thing to do with this building. Because we have forgot who we're supposed to be promoting. I'm about to hit a very unpopular part of my message because I know there are people watching at home and some of you may be gathered in this end as well, but we have been promoting the bride and we've not been promoting the bridegroom. You said, what do you mean? We have been promoting the church. And it's not, and I had to go back, like I said, examine myself. I'm going to start back looking through social media. Well, what am I doing? How am I doing things? As far as promoting. My mission, Jesus, the Great Commission, when he set forth the Great Commission, he didn't say, go and gather in buildings and share the word with one another. That's not what the Great Commission said. He said, take the gospel to the ends of the earth. Take it to everybody. And we can't do that when we're stuck in the four walls of the church. And it hit me because how often when we invite somebody or we talk to somebody about our faith, I will tell you that I don't necessarily see it necessarily in our church, but I'm talking about church as a whole. So let's take this as a church as a whole. Because that's the church that Jesus is coming back for. That's the bride. He's coming back for the church. He's coming back for bride. How often do we see the bride being talked about and not the bridegroom? Well, my church has this ministry and it has that ministry. And, well, the worship is phenomenal. We spend more time speaking about the bride than we start speaking about the bridegroom. And maybe that's why we're going through this. The bridegroom, and you say, well, God did not put us through this. Can I tell you that God chose like 8 people to get on a boat? And, he's a God of love, he's a God of justice, and he's a jealous God. And I think he's gotten to the point where he's jealous of the fact that we're not spending enough time promoting him. We're spending time introducing people to the bridegroom instead of introducing them to the bride. He wants us to introduce him to the groom. That's the important one. The fact that we can have ministries and worship and gather and stuff, that's a benefit of being the church. That's the benefit of being the bride. It's not something we should be seeking to promote. People will see that. They will notice that. But our job is to introduce people to the groom. Because there's a wedding supper that's coming, and we have to be prepared for that. That's what this scripture and what this talks about. If you go on to verse 10, it says, but while they were on their way to buy the oil, the bridegroom arrived. And the virgins who were ready went in with him to the wedding banquet. Then it goes on to say something else. Those that were prepared, they had their lamp and their oil. Bridegroom came. Said, come on, we're going to party. We're going to have a celebration. We're going to have a supper. We're going to have a feast. You guys are waiting. You're ready. You're prepared. Come on in. They went in. The other 5 grabbed their lamps. Going, where's the oil? I can find some oil. I got prepared. And they get back, and what happens is they find out, and the door was shut. Hey, let me in. There's a party going on inside. That noise is overpowering that. Let me in. Sorry, you missed the invitation. You missed the chance to get into the party. See, the prepared bride of Christ will be invited to the wedding supper of the Lamb, while those who aren't will be locked out of the wedding. Go on to Revelation 19. You can hold the place in Matthew 25. You can turn to that, or Revelation 19, or you can look at it on the screen. Revelation 19:7 says, "Let us rejoice and be glad and give him glory, for the wedding of the Lamb has come, and the bride has made herself ready." And the bride has made herself ready. Hallelujah. See, the groom's coming back for a ready bride. He's not coming back for a bride that's readying itself. He's coming back for a bride that is prepared already. Prepared is not going to be out looking for the oil at the time of his arrival. Half dressed. Well, I've got my dress on, but I don't have my veil on. He's looking for that bride who's ready. He's coming back out of the wakes up. In verse 9 says, "Then the angel said to me, Right, blessed are those who are invited to the wedding supper of the Lamb." See, 19:9 Revelation tells us that blessed are those who are invited to the wedding supper of the Lamb. That's the ones who will be blessed. So, what happened to the bridesmaids? What happened to the bridesmaids? Because that's really, you don't make it into the wedding as a bride, then I guess you're just a bridesmaid, right? Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. It's like that movie 27 Dresses, one of Jennifer's favorite movies. She's 27 times she's the bridesmaid, never the bride. Well, we have to prepare ourselves to be the bride. But what happens to those? What happens to those who aren't on the guest list? See, verses 11 and 12, Matthew 25, tells us, "Later the others also came. 'Sir, sir,' they said, 'open the door for us.' So they're knocking. 'Hey, come on, open it. Open the door, we're here.' And he replied, 'I tell you the truth, I don't know you.'" Wait a minute, I know you, I know who you are. What do you mean you don't know me? Well, there are going to be those who think that they have an invitation to the wedding supper of the Lamb, but who aren't on the guest list, who aren't going to be there. There are going to be a lot of people who think that they are the bride, yet they don't know the bridegroom. Kind of important. This is not like a planned wedding where, somebody, I planned my son's, wedding with somebody else's, daughter to be married. They don't know each other. Now, we have countries in the world that do that, obviously. But that's not the way this is, because this is something where the bride knows the bridegroom. The bride has an intimate relationship with the bridegroom. And if you don't have an intimate relationship with the groom as the bride, and I know you guys, the guys are sitting there going, "Why do you keep calling me a bride?" Well, we are the bride of Christ. We are. But who's on the guest list? Who is on the guest list? Can I tell you, there are many people who think because they are on actually I've got anything. See this list here? This is a list of all the people typically who attend our services. And you may think, well, my name's on that list, I'm good. Come in on Sunday morning, I come in on Wednesday, well, not right now, Wednesday night, sorry. But I come into the services, and my name's on that list, and I get checked off as being attending. But this list means nothing. This list means nothing.
Right. Go away.
That list isn't going to get you into heaven.
Right.
That's not going to get you into the wedding supper. That's not the guest list that he's looking at. You can come in every service. You can come in when we're not having service. But if you have no relationship with Jesus Christ and no relationship with the groom, your name's not on the list that matters.
Right.
Your name is not on that list that matters. See, the list that matters is told to us in verse 27 of chapter 21 of Revelation. It says, "Nothing impure will ever enter it, nor will anyone who does what is shameful or deceitful, but only those whose names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life." That's the list that matters. That's the guest list we have to be worried about being on. That's the name, place where our name needs to be jotted down, not on a piece of paper here in the church. If our names aren't jotted down on that list, then we are not going to enter into the wedding supper of the Lamb, and we're going to be standing at the door knocking, going, hey, let me in, let me in. And there are going to be people who are going to be saying, let me in. I've done everything. I went out and I give food to the needy. I help the poor. I was in every service. I know who Jesus is. Well, I'm glad you know who Jesus is, but do you know Jesus? That's what matters. I've been to many weddings where I knew who the bride and the bridegroom were, but I didn't have an intimate relationship with either one of them that caused me to get married other than the one that's sitting back there in the back. That's the, other than her and him, that's the two that matter. The weddings which I've attended where I've known the bride and the bridegroom. See, nothing impure will ever enter heaven unless your name is on or in the Lamb's Book of Life. I said, Jesus, God, He rocked my world this week on some of this. Because it's unpopular for us to not promote the church. It's unpopular not to promote the things in which we have going on. Because that's enticing to people to want to be there. But the fact of the matter is, if we want to entice people to really be there, we present Jesus to them. Let the Holy Spirit do the work, and they will come. It is a benefit that we get to gather together. It is a benefit of being the bride of Christ that we can come in unity. But if we view it as, well, I do this and do that, then we might as well be a gymnasium. I can sign up for a membership of a gym and go to the gym. I haven't happened yet. Until. But just because I'm a member of the gym doesn't make me physically fit. Doesn't make me physically fit. And being a member of the church doesn't make you spiritually fit. It just means that you signed your name or you made a pledge to be here. But it doesn't mean that you're doing all the requirements of going out and finding oil. I think that's, once again, that's what God stirred in me. We've been separated. We've been tossed amongst the wolves, so to speak, in the world. The church doors were closed, and some have gotten upset, and some have gotten offended. But here's the thing. It's caused us to do one or two things. It's either caused us to dig deeper and find our own oil, or it's caused us to walk around with a lamp that means nothing. It's caused us to walk around with something that's great in appearance, but it's not going to benefit us at all if there's no oil in it. And some that just cast their lamp to the side. That's tough. But it's happening. Because there's not been, their faith has not been in the groom. Their faith has been in the bride. They've been looking at the bride all along to get them through. And they should have been looking at the groom. The groom is what matters. We may not have anything to offer except Jesus Christ, but can I tell you, that's all that we need to offer? That's it. That's the only thing that's going to get us into heaven. That's the only thing. Now, I would love to present that we have this and we have that going on, but the fact of the matter is if we don't have Jesus Christ and we don't have the Holy Spirit in us, it doesn't matter to human beings what we have to offer. We're nothing more than a social club. We have to get back to what we're called to do. Thought it was done then, huh? Because see, there's no scripture. Jesus concludes the parable of the 10 virgins. Verse 13. He says, therefore keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour. We don't know the day or the hour. We don't know when He's going to return. The only thing I can tell you with any certainty is every moment is one moment closer. See, the brides, when they went to sleep, when they got weary of the longness that was taking, and once again, 2,000 plus years, it's easy to get a little bit weary or waiting on Him, a little drowsy. But even though they were drowsy and all 10 fell asleep, half of them knew they were comfortable enough to go to sleep knowing that they were prepared. Half of them knew that. I wonder if in our day and age, if we're even at 50%. I really do. Because our worldly thought and the worldly culture we live in today is spending more time promoting the bride than the groom. And people are falling in love with the bride, but they're forgetting all about the groom sometimes. Jesus is coming back. I don't know yet. I can't tell you. He's coming back. He's coming back for a bride that's prepared. He wants a bride that not only has their lamp in hand, but has enough oil in the lamp, in the supply lamp. Enough in which we are prepared in a spiritual sense where who knows where we are spiritually. Hot or cold. He's not looking for, he would rather know if you're hot or cold than lukewarm. Because He's going to spew the lukewarm out of the mouth. Are you carrying around a lamp that is partially full with no oil in reserve? Or are you prepared? This morning I just ask that we raise and we stand and go to the Lord in prayer. This morning, as we close, let's just reflect on this a moment. As the bride of Christ, or as the bride waiting for the bridegroom, as we wait patiently for your return, Jesus Christ. Are we prepared? Are we prepared? Are we ready? That word that resonated in my spirit, ready. Because readiness is preparedness, and we have to be ready for you to return. And in that being ready, we have to be prepared on a spiritual level, because you're coming back for a spotless, blameless bride. One that is dressed and ready. One that is prepared spiritually. And maybe you are shaking things up. I don't know. Maybe that's part of, you have a plan. We don't know what your plan is, but you have a plan. You've had a plan from day one, from the moment of creation. You've had a plan. Had a plan of redemption the moment that forbidden fruit was eaten. You have a plan now. The Bible tells us, your word, it tells us that. There's a plan. Are we ready? This morning, if you are gathered here and you do not know if you are ready, I know we can't necessarily come to the altar and lay hands on it, but just raise a hand in the air, slip a hand and say, Lord, I need oil in my lamp. I need oil. I need a freshness. I've not been preparing my lamp. I've been carrying around the lamp thinking I'm good, but my oil's dwindling, and I need a little bit more. I need to go be prepared. I need to prepare when you come back. that's acknowledging that you need more of Jesus. And I think we all need more of Jesus. Whether we think we do or not, we need more of Jesus. Thank you. For those who have never actually been given that lamp, you've been walking around lampless. And you need Jesus in your heart. If you're here this morning, if you're home this morning, I ask you to acknowledge that this morning. Come on, start calling out the name of Jesus. If you just, Jesus, I need you. I accept you as my Lord and Savior. The lamp, the light of my life. Remove the darkness. See, that's another thing about that lamp. When that lamp goes out, darkness consumes it, where the light was. We don't want that darkness to consume the light. So this morning we give thanks and praise, Lord, for the fact that you are the light of the world. And Lord, I pray this morning that those who are gathered here today and at home, if you don't know if your name is jotted down in the Lamb's Book of Life, maybe you say, well, I've been in church all my life, but you've never made that profession of faith in Jesus Christ. I tell you, time is running out. Do I know the time? No, I don't know the time, but I know that the groom is coming. I know he's coming. He's coming for a bride. And you don't be standing at the door knocking, saying, hey, let me in, and to have him say, I never knew you. I don't know who you are. No, he's looking for that relationship, that intimate relationship. If you need that today, come on, just slip your hands in the air. Just knowledge at home, whatever. But reach out so I can do better at trying to disciple you. I can do better to help you get to a place where you need to be in that relationship, where somebody can. So you can start looking, fill the lamp with the oil. Keep it lit. Keep it burning. Keep it on fire. So Lord, this morning I give thanks and praise once again together. Lord, I give thanks and praise for the revival that's done. We know the enemy is attacking. If he will attack in my sleep, he will attack anywhere. And Lord, I pray that we are all prepared to battle those attacks spiritually. Each and every one of us, that we are prepared in season and out of season to present the gospel of Jesus Christ. Lord, that we are prepared to introduce those around us to the groom. Lord, I give you thanks and praise that you are the groom. Your Son, Jesus Christ. He's the groom. He's coming back. Man, it's going to be a heck of a party. Can't wait. May not have buffets now, but Lord, we're coming to a great night. We're coming to a great night. We're preparing for that. We give thanks and praise for that in Jesus' name. Amen. You all are dismissed.